Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, November 3rd, wrapping up I guess technically the first week in November, but obviously it's kind of a split week, but we are, fully heading on into November. Total crypto market cap is 1.29 trillion. Bitcoin and ETH up slightly from yesterday. Sentiments back to around neutral levels. They did dip into bearish territory, but overall daily sentiment is bullish. So a lot of alts, or a lot of people are bullish on altcoins. Slightly less tweets, not a huge deal, but total trading volume above that magic 40 billion number that we want to continue to see. A lot of crap coin price gainers, as we have seen. These have really dominated the price gainers as of recently. Ren, big breakouts, Osmo, Sushi, BTU, TRB, bullish coins looking pretty well today, as well as the hottest on Twitter. So basically, we're going to talk about it, but Bitcoin and ETH kind of bounced off the weekly lows, and that's sending pretty much everything higher. Fascinating waves, 12.73% of supply deposited to exchanges, rep, and more BAO. We talked about BAO yesterday. That's also down. So wonder if that's going to be similar fate for waves soon. Definitely would put that one on your watch list. That is very weird. Again, they could be coin margining long, but with that much supply added, if we don't see it subtracted, I would say that someone's going to sell that off on the next dipperino. So big stablecoin exchange withdrawals. That's a bit fascinating overnight, but we did have a big addition, 82 million very early this morning, along with a 38 million. So about net even, but very interesting to see that during the Asia and Europe session. So let's move forward. DXY dropped pretty substantially today. And if you're wondering why equities are up, DXY is down, and crypto is performing pretty well, it is because most likely due to the non-farm payroll. So 150K came in prior, or for 170K expected. That is, down half from 300K last month. Unemployment rate is now 3.9%. So if we remember, of course, in the grand scheme of things, this is really not good. But when you factor in the Fed wants to increase unemployment and decrease inflation, and everybody's trying to time the topping of the terminal rate, which, of the Fed's funds rate, we want to, see movement in line with what the Fed wants to see. So the Fed wants to see unemployment go up. That's happening. So clearly we're seeing DXY drop on that news, and we're seeing equities rip. So DXY, remember we talked about this range. We talked about these lows. We are officially below those lows. So now we're going to start targeting 104.6 for a possible bounce. Now it could bounce here, but I would say more likely in this region. And then, maybe you get a pump up here, or, maybe we just keep sliding down because equities keep ripping and everybody's excited about the Fed finally seeing progress. So basically, as we've been talking, DXY down, risk assets should continue to move higher. That's currently the case, and I would expect that to continue, likely down to 104.6. But it is important to note that we are getting a bit oversold on the 4-hour. Let's check the 12-hour, which I also like. So, we are, we're showing momentum is to the downside. So we could see a little bit of a hop here. Maybe we reject off 105.4 before heading back down. But I would say, more likely than not, we'll see this next week, 104.6. So looking at equities, told the TTC community above 4,335. Probably going to start targeting this 4,400 area. But, of course, this is kind of a giant demand zone, as exampled by price action up here. Remember, tagged it, dropped. So 4,400, very significant level. I think we're going to end up making it up there. We talked about it yesterday. And it, just been straight up 45-degree angle. So my bet is, considering this break, we will end up at 4,400. Now, what happens at 4,400 is definitely a kind of a big question mark. Let's kind of, look at a little bit of a higher time frame chart, I should say. So sitting on the 4 hours, we've got these local highs up here. Also some local highs here and then some local highs here. So if we do get above 4,400, then I would, definitely start to target these lows. And if we obviously broke above kind of the 44, 35, 44.40 area, then you're back in this giant range. And I would say this line is probably less important. So just basically think about, these two lines, the highs and the lows here as the next kind of range. So if we break above 4,400, kind of target this 44, 50, 44.30 area, break above that, and then we're going to start talking about 4,500. But again, with this kind of price movement, especially with how things have gone, if we do form equal highs, it will probably send us lower. Be tracking this 4-hour estimated 200 moving average very closely. Some confluence, it'll definitely will line up with this previous range by the time we make it up and back down, if that is the case. So we'll definitely look at 4,300 as a possible bounce zone. And then maybe that propels us and move higher. Because again, remember what we talked about yesterday, we had lower lows, we had lower highs. And so if we want to break this trend, we need to form a higher high and then a higher low. We can break the trend with a higher low first, but we will have formed a lower high, which is, definitely toughens the trend. So we definitely want to see a slight break above 4,400. That'll break the market structure. Then we form a higher low and that propels us higher. So I'll look for 4,400, maybe a bit of a spike higher, maybe up to 44.20, 44.30, drop back down to around 4,300, or, kind of in this whole area right here. This is kind of a big order block right here. So if that is the case, then if we bounce, in this level, we come off here, bounce, then that should propel us higher towards 4,500. Obviously, still a lot of time, for that to happen, but that's kind of general thesis right now. It's what you want to see. Again, just basic market structure, break it, form a higher high, form a higher low, and then you have market structure to then head higher. We all know, we've all seen this formation. It's called an inverse head and shoulders, very bullish. So that's exactly what we want to see. Looking at Bitcoin, we did tell the TTC community we're looking for longs around the weekly lows. Remember, this is this line right here and this line right here are the Monday range. So we broke back into the Monday range last night, tagged the Monday lows. Now we're at the Monday highs. So I closed my long and told the TTC community. So if you are in the community, feel free to check that out. So it was within our morning analysis, mentioned that being a good trade opportunity. Now, this is where things get tricky. So we want to break above the Monday high to then get back above to these highs. Then you want to break above that high to get back above these highs. Then you want to break above that high to get back up to start targeting this 37K area again. Now, if we get rejected here, basically it's a Monday range play, and you would look for longs again at this level. And if we broke below this level, let's say we have a nasty weekend, then, we're dropping here. But again, talked about this all week. We have, the previous weekly VWAP along these lows right here sitting around 33.5. So I would expect 33.5 to kind of be a possible area for longs. But obviously, if that breaks lower, looking for probably 33K flat to then move up higher. So pretty, it's not simple, but, it's not difficult to kind of map out trajectory. So obviously, if we reject here and get back below the weekly VWAP, that's probably going to be a Monday low play. And then, obviously, if you drop lower, then 33.5, and then maybe you deviate up and do something like that, and you have, still a higher low down here from these, and you still have this higher high, and so your market structure is still looking good. And then, in the very good chance that we just break up, then obviously you've got, basically a set of higher lows here, and then you're moving higher to then try and form a higher high. So that's basically, that's Bitcoin in a nutshell right now. ETH, again, same story. We've been sitting in this range. We got the 4 parts of the range, lower quadrants here, higher quadrants here. And so, very similar to Bitcoin, swept the weekly low. We got Monday range, Monday high, Monday low right here, mid-range sitting here. So we swept the Monday low, got above mid-range, but we're still under the weekly VWAP. So, closed on that VWAP sweep. The best case scenario for ETH, above the weekly VWAP, get up to 1830, above 1830, up to 1860. And then, then you get these highs to contend with, hopefully get above those and then end up moving higher. And then in the bearish scenario, again, reject here, seep back below here, that's 1800, and then drop for another sweep of the lows. And then if things get worse, 1775, drop down here, sweep these lows, and then hopefully end up moving higher. So, ETH is probably the most technical in this fashion, just because the range is extremely simple and mapped out. I mean, it's literally in quadrants for you, and we're sitting directly at mid-range. So if we hold this area, should move higher. If we break back below this area, should move back to the lows. And then, you just play each part. So if you want to take scalps, if your scalps turn into swings, that's good. But the scalp for me this morning was long these lows, close on a rejection of the VWAP or continue long on an acceptance above the VWAP. Now, we certainly can continue higher. I'm a bit busy later in the afternoon, so I just wanted to take my trade and walk away. And obviously, heading into the weekend, we haven't seen anything crazy. This was weekend price action. Last weekend, basically just sat in this little quadrant. So I'm not expecting anything too crazy. But with equity, if equities do continue zooming higher throughout today's session, we can't rule out any possible continued bullishness from Bitcoin or from Ethereum. So, hoping we break above, these critical levels, but, nothing is guaranteed. And I think, for the time being, we didn't really react too much to the SBF news yesterday. Equities are clearly getting more inflows than crypto is right now. Probably best to just play it patient, take your scalps, and then, maybe continue to buy spot on sweeps of lows. Like we had this morning. And then obviously have, some dry powder ready for, potential 32.5, 33 if we end up sweeping down there. But if we do, drop something like this, I would, get in pretty long here on some leverage. So, hopefully we'll probably have some more better outlook on Monday, because again, we're heading into the weekend, and we haven't, we did of course have a really good, kind of weekend in the middle of October, but usually after big moves like this, there is some consolidation. It's designed to chop you up, make you depressed and anxious, and so usually better to just pick up spot and take scalps that may turn into swings, because if you're just longing the lows, then you have pretty good room to play with, because you're just you'd set your stop at these lows and you have a very tight risk with a very high reward. So just traditionally, just to kind of leave you the one final note for next week, because on at once Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, the Monday, the new week starts, and therefore we will begin to have a new Monday range. So if you just map out the Monday range, you could have a bit of a better trading week, because in this context, the Monday range is sitting Monday high right here, Monday low right here. And that became, obviously the weekly high is up here, but the weekly low never changed, and it was the Monday low. So if you were longing here with a stop here, you were looking pretty good. And you had, you had great risk reward every time it dropped in that area. And the same goes for Bitcoin. We have the Monday high, and we have the Monday, that was the Monday low right here. So it obviously, again, like ETH, deviated, but came back in the range, hit the low end of the range, then moved higher. So your Monday range, fantastic for scalps, and can obviously give you great entries for swings in the future. So just fantastic rule of thumb, always draw out your Monday range, and you may have a bit better of an idea about how things are going to move in the future. And then, and this is kind of, our value area as well. So, deviation above, slight deviation below, stay back in the range. So that's it for today. Again, if you're not in the TTC community, www.tradethechain.com. Get signed up, 14-day free trial. You can get immediately in the community, immediately access to all of our content, emails, education portal, everything that we have. So go ahead and get signed up, join us, and follow along with the journey. And of course, chat with hundreds of people around the world doing the same thing that you are. So good luck, happy trading. See everybody on Monday.